Hey you boys and girls, and welcome to Kids Corner with yours truly, me. I'm so excited that you are here today. We are going to meet one of my favorite Bible characters today. His name is Nehemiah, and he does some really cool stuff. But I don't want to give it away, so I'm not going to tell you about what he does and what God helps him do. But we are going to meet him, and he's going to tell us his story. But you know the drill. You know what we need to do first. So stand up. Give a big stretch. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Get ready. And here we go, because we're going to do some actions to a song. And I'll see you back here in a sec.
Whether I'm driving in the car or shopping in the store, making mashed potatoes or sweeping up the floor, cleaning up my room or starting up the mower, I'm gonna praise the Lord. I'm gonna praise, 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 praise the Lord. Praise, 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 praise the Lord. I'm gonna praise, 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 praise the Lord. I'm gonna praise the Lord. Whether I'm dancing like a robot or reaching for the stars, running through a sprinkler or climbing monkey bars, swimming in a lake or rocking my guitar, I'm gonna praise the Lord. I'm gonna praise, 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 praise the Lord. Praise, 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 praise the Lord. I'm gonna praise, 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 praise the Lord. I'm gonna praise the Lord. Everybody on the left, what you gonna do now? Praise, 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 praise the Lord. Everybody on the right, what you gonna do now? Praise, 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 praise the Lord. Everybody in this place, what you gonna do now? Praise, 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 praise the Lord. Everybody on the left, what you gonna do now? Praise, 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 praise the Lord. Everybody on the right, what you gonna do now? Praise, 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 praise the Lord. Everybody in this place, what we gonna do? We're gonna praise the Lord. We're gonna praise the Lord. We're gonna praise, 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 praise the Lord. Praise, 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 praise the Lord. We're gonna praise, 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 praise the Lord. We're gonna praise the Lord. We're gonna praise the Lord. We're gonna praise the Lord.
Hey boys and girls, and welcome back. I hope you did all the actions. I know I did. I'm wearing too big a sweater to do all those actions. Now I'm really hot. So before we meet Nehemiah, which is like, again, one of my favorite characters, you'll find out why in a minute, we need to do our memory verse for today. So here we go. This is our memory verse for today. It says, "The king's heart is like a stream of water directed by the Lord. He guides it wherever he pleases." And that's found in Proverbs 21:1. So how about you repeat after me? Okay, you ready? The king's heart is like a stream of water directed by the Lord. He guides it wherever he pleases. And that's found in Proverbs 21:1. Do you know what that means, that verse? Do you know that God decides who the leaders are? So who the kings are, who the presidents are, who our prime minister is? And if there's something really important that God needs done, guess what happens? It gets done. See, this verse says it so right here. Right? All right, so let's read it again, okay? The king's heart is like a stream of water directed by the Lord. He guides it wherever he pleases. Proverbs 21:1. Okay, those are on your cards in your box if you still have them. And I would really love to hear you saying your verse, because this is the last week that we are together before Christmas. And I would really like to see your videos so I can do a draw. I have a grand prize, but if I don't get videos and pictures of your crafts, then I can't give away my prize, and that is no fun. So if you could get those in to me, my email will be at the end of this video, so you can send those in to me, and I would love to see them, because we can't get together, so it's the only way I get to see you. So that would be great. So Now we get to meet Nehemiah. So let's go meet him because he's waiting for us. Okay? See you in a bit. Hey, boys and girls. My name is Nehemiah. And Pastor Stephanie asked me to tell you a little bit about my story and about how amazing God is and all the things he did to help my people. So I wanted to start by telling you I am what's called a cupbearer for the king. Doesn't sound like a very exciting job, and really, it kind of isn't. But my job is to taste the king's wine and food before the king eats it. Because, some people aren't very nice and want to hurt the king. So if the food or drink was poisoned, I would die instead of him. Kind of crazy job, huh? It can be dangerous, but as you can see, I'm still sitting here. So it's all good. I am a Jewish man, and I found out from a friend at one point that back home in my city, the walls had not been rebuilt. In my day, all the cities had walls around them to keep everyone inside safe from the bad people around. Now the city walls were still torn down, and I couldn't believe it, which means our city wasn't really a city right now, and the people were in danger and hurting, and everything was broken, and I just couldn't bear it. I felt like it was my duty to fix this problem, except I couldn't. I couldn't just leave my post. I can't leave the king's side. That's my job. And if I were to leave, well, it wouldn't bode well for me. Let me just tell you that. But I did feel from the Lord that I was supposed to be the one to fix the walls. And so I prayed and I fasted, which means I didn't eat for days and days. And I just sought the Lord's guidance on what I was supposed to do because I didn't know how I could make this happen. I even made plans. I figured out how many supplies I would need and what it would take to rebuild the walls, in case I was ever to be released and could go and build the walls. I had no idea how I would get supplies. I had no idea how I would even get home. I had no idea how any of that would happen. But I sought the Lord. I prayed and I prayed for days. And then one day, the king looked at me and asked me what was the matter. Of course, I'd never looked unhappy in front of the king before because you just didn't do that. And I didn't mean to, but I think sometimes we show our feelings on our face without even realizing it. So I thought, well, I prayed at that very moment and said, Lord, this must be the moment. And so I presented my problem to the king. I told him, I told him about the wall. I told him my desire to fix it and what I wanted to do. And miracle of all miracles, the king said I could go and rebuild the walls. And not only that, he gave me the supplies I needed to rebuild the walls. And not only that, he gave me people and people to take me there to protect me on the way, because there were robbers and all kinds of people that would take my supplies on the journey home. Can you believe it? That was a miracle and a miracle and a miracle all in one space. So, fast forward a little, we went on this long journey and we got home. And seriously, the walls were in disarray. So that first evening, I didn't tell anyone I was there, and I just walked the perimeter of the city, and I just checked out what needed to be done. And then I gathered up all the people, and we started to work. But did you know there was a lot of people there that didn't want the walls rebuilt? So it took longer than we thought, because I had to put one person on protection duty to protect the people, the person that was building the wall. So it took twice as long. However, with God's help, that wall was rebuilt, and I was able to go back to work for the king. God did so many miracles in that moment, but we made more plans, and we planned, and we worked and we saw God's hand in all of it. So all I can say is that sometimes you have to do the work, but God will provide the way. So, have a great week, and I will see you later. Hey, boys and girls. Isn't Nehemiah the coolest guy? He is one of my favorite characters, actually. So not only does he have a really cool job, he works for the king, but in order to have that job and work for the king, it means that that he would have to be really close to the king. So they're almost like friends, because the king really has to trust him, right? Because he has control over his food and his drink. That's a pretty big job for someone. But not only that, he had the courage to ask the king for what he needed. That would have been really scary, I think. I'm not sure I could have done it. Do you think you could have asked the king for that? Because if the king didn't like what he said, I would be really bad. But the king listened to Nehemiah, and he gave him exactly what he needed. And according to our verse, we know that God had control of that, didn't we? But sometimes we still have to trust and do what God asks us to do, even though we don't know what the outcome will be. And Nehemiah didn't know what the king was going to say, but he still was able to get what he needed, and that is pretty something. And he came across all kinds of problems when he was building the wall. People didn't want it built, so Nehemiah could have just said, well, it's too hard. I'm going home and I'm not going to do this. It's too hard. But you know what? He didn't. He worked hard, and he pushed forward, even though things were really, really hard. And you know what? In the end, the wall got built, didn't it? So just because God asks us to do something doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Sometimes it means it's going to be really hard. But if we push forward and do what God asks us to do, then you know what happens? We'll get the reward in the end, right? And Nehemiah did. The wall was built and everything turned out great. So, that's the lesson for today. We get to go and make a craft about Nehemiah now. So I'll meet you over at my craft table. Okay? See ya. Hey guys, and welcome to Craft Corner. We're going to make a craft about Nehemiah today. So you need to get your craft bags. If you don't have one, they're still available at the church. We need Nehemiah number 6, and you're also going to need your glue out of your boxes. So if you could do that, get all that ready. We're going to take the page out, and then you're going to see that you have little bits of paper in your bag. If I can get mine out. There we go. We don't need the bag. And you're going to have a bunch of little squares of paper. Do you know what these bricks are? You know what I just told you. They're bricks. They're for the wall. We're going to help Nehemiah build his wall. So you can make the wall look however you want, but we're going to need our glue so we can glue on the bricks. I'm going to put some glue on my first brick and stick it on. And we're going to just keep gluing all the bricks on and help Nehemiah build his wall. It's pretty amazing that he was able to get the king's help to build that wall. Now, you might need some help from your parents to get the glue on. If you do, that's okay. If you don't, that's great too. So I'm going to go red, orange, but you can do it however you want. You can do it all red and then orange, or maybe your bricks are a different color. However you want to do it is great. But we need to make sure that wall is nice and strong so that people can't break it down and get in the wall. So back then, all the cities have walls, and then they had fancy gates that were guarded. So nobody could get in the city without going through the gate, unless they tried to climb a wall, and those walls were really high, so they weren't easy to climb at all. So on your page is also your memory verse. So don't forget to get a video of you saying your memory verse so we can get your name in the draw. And I'd like to see your craft because we can't do it in person. I don't get to see what your wall looks like, but I can show you what mine looks like in a second. Still gluing and gluing and gluing. There's a lot of gluing today. A little bit of glue, but you don't need too much glue on each brick because, well, we don't want to get glue everywhere, do we? I need a red one next. My glue's getting hard to squeeze. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Sometimes sound effects help. Or singing about your craft. Sometimes that makes it easier. I'm going to show you mine so far. We can make it as big or as small as you want. So far, mine is just 3 levels. You can see I did it red, yellow, red, orange. But you can do it whatever way you want. And I would really like to see your picture. So, because this is the last week that we're meeting before Christmas, I can't wait to see your pictures and videos. And then hopefully, you know, depending on how things go, we'll either meet again like this or we'll be able to meet in person. My hope is that we'll be able to meet in person, but, you know, we'll have to just wait and see, won't we? So either way, have a very Merry Christmas, and I will see you next year.